Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the J&A Investments team. And today we'll be talking about
the URA Master Plan, something that is very exciting because it shows where the opportunities are and the investment scene for the next few years.
Yeah, so I think URA Master Plan, if you guys have played around before, it basically gives you the government's planning for Singapore in the next 10 to 15 years. So it's more of a long-term planning rather than a short-term plans.
Yes.
So it tells you, okay, where are the new housing areas that the government is planning? Are there any new like MRTs that is coming up? So these are some of the hints that you'll get on what are the transformations that you can expect coming up in the long-term future.
Yes, and with that, we can be able to dive in to see where the opportunities are and be able to leverage on this news. All right, so before we start, I'd like to thank all our clients that have supported us. Okay, currently our subscriber went up to 17.1k subscriber, and it's something that we are very thankful for. Along with 184 good reviews, 5-star, and we hope to continue to value to you. And currently serve over 700 investment clients with 19.56% of returns. And I'd like to find out how we actually do investment analysis for our client. And you do scan the QR code right below, contact any of our investment consultant, and more than happy to value to you.
So if you're also someone in the market looking for a next investment home or you just want to know what your options are, let's say for this year, what are the launches that's coming up, you can also contact our QR code and we'll have someone reach out to you.
Yes, without much further ado, let's dive deep into today's topic. Master plan, very important because it really sets the foresight of what's going to happen in the area. And from there, we're able to find certain form of opportunities and leverage on it. So today, we'll mainly be covering more of the central area, okay, which is Mount Pleasant, Pearl Hill, Bukit Timah, Turf City, Newton, Paterson, and Marina South. Okay, and in another video, they will cover the rest.
Because there's too many and this video is going to get too long. So we'll cover the central areas for today and then we'll slowly move out in the second part. So stay tuned for the second part of the video also.
All right. So in Singapore, it's just split in different areas. We had the central area, which is known as the core central region. Then we have the RCR, which is the rest of central region with City Fringe, and followed by OCR, outright central region, which is your outskirt, where you have Jurong, your Tampines, also Singapore. So today, while we look at central area, because the government have not been covering anything in the central area for some time. Because land is so precious. I mean, they want to develop this land with a condominium, etc. But it's the first time we finally have certain things that have developed in the central area.
Yeah, so I think for the longest time, the government has put their focus on the outskirts of Singapore.
Yes.
Like, you see Punggol, you see Tengah having transformation, and that's where the focus was. I think this year, people are starting to talk about the central regions. I think there is a stigma on the central regions where in the past, not a lot of developments actually make money. So a lot of people try to avoid the central region. And I think the government is trying to bring the demand back by making central region a little bit more livable.
Yes. And for the master plan, you can see over here, they're trying to link up the different central area all the way from Orchard down to the Marina South area and injecting lifestyle in between all these different areas from your, I would say, your park connectors all the way down to different kinds of lifestyle where you have your heritage, your live work play coming in, and this is something that they want to revive this entire notion of being able to live in a central area rather than just working there.
Yes. So I think the first area we want to look at is Marina South, which the latest launch that has been done is actually One Marina Gardens, which a lot of people have been talking about, whether this is an area where like the per square feet seems decent for this kind of central area, but is there demand for this area and what are the plans coming up that the government has? So if you have to take a look at the master plan from 2014 to 2019 to actually 2025, you'll realize that there are two colors over here. So the red color is basically residential with commercial and first story. And white color means it's you can do anything on it. So not many changes from 2014 to 2019 to 2025 besides them combining like two plots together and then after that changing the plot ratio. So from like 5.6 to 4.9 and 6.3.
So they actually demarcated the land instead of setting up a slightly more residential and commercial first story. In 2014, 2019, they made the land smaller and then they combined to more white side. And in 2025, they split up because they realized for developers nowadays, they're not looking at big land plot. I mean, it's a bit hard to sell. So it's like made a small land plot such that it can solo. Especially in the recent 2024, there was a land bid within this area did not go through, potentially because the land was too big for developers solo. So that's why they decided to do something like this.
Yeah. So I think by cutting up the different plots, it also gives the government some kind of control over the area in a way. If let's say, the take-up is not strong, they can still hold like the future plots. So they don't have to release that one big plot, and if the demand is not there, it could affect the way consumers actually see this area.
Yes, and if you talk about Marina, if you backtrack to the past, Marina has been an area that hasn't been developed for some time because this is actually reclaimed land, a land that is not origin there. They had to fill up with silts, with sand, and it takes about 20 plus years for the land to solidify. And for this land to be launched is something that's intentional by government. And the last that came out was actually this place called the Sale. The first land that was launched in Marina area after filling up that part of the land, and subsequently for almost 10 to 15 years there hasn't been any land plot coming up until today.
So I think with this whole area, they actually plan to have 10,000 homes, but they're slowly releasing plot by plot. So the last plot we actually saw was one Marina Gardens that sold about 38%, and up to date they're probably about 50+% sold.
Yes, correct.
And then there's also 2 upcoming plots. One is red color and one is white color. They're both available for application, so they're not bidded yet. But there's something that, if it goes through, these are the 2 upcoming launches after OMG. So for one of the plots, you have about 390 units of residential units, and for the other one, slightly bigger, of 775 residential units.
Yeah, so for the 775 residential, you can see they make it a white site because potentially they want to develop a potential shopping mall, something that is more reputable to actually lift up the entire vibrancy of the land in the area.
So I think for Marina South, it will take some time or a couple more years for them to add a bit more life to this area, because now there's really nothing over there. It's like a whole new housing estate that the government is trying to create.
Yes, correct. Right. So next up, we have Pearl Hill. Okay, it's actually very famous for this iconic we call Wamper Bank. Okay, it was an old iconic curve-shaped architecture right next to Outram Park and Chinatown. So this new area used to be an empty plot, and right now they have finally released the news that they're going to develop 6,000 homes of BTO flats that will be there.
As well as private.
And private, correct, at the Outram Park area. So there hasn't been any HDB flats since 40 years in the making. Last time it's all the way at People's Complex, that old HDB estate and shop houses, and now finally there's something new.
Correct. So a few main things that we want to note in terms of the changes, right? I think the first one will be the BTO flats, which is actually the if you look at the 2014 one, there were 3 residential plots, 7.4, 3.5, and 3.5. They actually combined together, and then you'll see in 2019 the whole plot became 4.4. So this is the area where the new housing of BTOs is going to be coming up. So on top, you also see the education plot, which they removed later on in 2019 to combine with the adjacent plot to make it a full residential plot ratio of 5.3.
So beside this 5.3 plot, there's actually this condo called the Landmark. It was sold, currently fully sold. And you can see the government have realized that to set an education hub in the area, maybe not so ideal because it's like Chinatown, not so more commercial rather than like a school zone. So what they did is they decided to convert this in residential and potentially launch as a government land sale to compete with your Wamper Bank and also the Landmark.
Moving upwards, you'll see there is this blue color 2.8, which in 2019 became red color, which is residential with commercial, right? This is the latest launch, which is then Union Square. So the last change will be the dark blue plot that you will see circled in 2019. When it came to 2025 latest one, it will change to a white plot. So this is where the lower barracks is. This is also where it will be a public space for the residents that's around this area to enjoy.
Yes, and if you were to look at the space itself, is actually integrated within the commercial space of Chinatown all the way down to Outram Park. So it's a very nice connected space. Originally it's empty, only the lower barracks, which is used to the old police station. But right now it has converted a place where people can have a play kind of integration.
Yeah.
And one thing, unfortunately, look at Master Plan, which we were hoping back then, okay, to see whether there's a block opportunities coming up. It's actually Pierce Park Complex. People have been talking about en bloc for some time. Tried
for a very long time.
Many times and failed, and recently it failed again. The plot ratio in this space did not increase. We can see the government is actually quite resistant to tell people to, hey, I want to unblock this place, because it's still a center of, I would say, commercial activity to encourage someone to remove and rebuild. They were literally destroying the shopping mall in the area, which is really the life of that area. So to bet on block, honestly, that's why we don't tell clients.
It's a very speculative game. We don't know when it will happen lah.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So the last thing to note is the plot. There's white plot that's on top of Outram Park. Eventually, it's going to be a new mixed-use development. So I think it's been there since 2014, 2019, and still the same thing in 2025. So this is something new that you'll be expecting. Another development on top of Outram Park MRT.
Yes. So if this land bid were to be bidded along with some of the residential plot, the 7.3 and 9.3 small plots, this can actually lift the entire PSF in the area if land bids were to be launched.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this area, there will be two parts you'll be looking at. One is your Mount Q, which is all your residential plot. We realize kind of very nice squarish plots. Okay, along with white side change in Newton area. So Newton, there has been nothing in that area for some time. Empty plot of land. The famous one is just the Newton Food Circle, your famous hawker area. But other than that, there hasn't been any shopping area. So I believe they feel like this land plot is definitely something that is worth considering, and that's why redevelop into a white site.
Yeah, so I think this whole area, you're going to be expecting about 5,000 private residential units. Majority of them will come in quite high-rise buildings based on the plot ratio that's actually in the master plan.
So in 2014 period, you can see the master plan used to be reserve site. Nothing was to be done. It was unplanned. And subsequently in 2019, it was converted to the pink site, which is commercial first story, 4.2. And subsequently in 2025, it is now converted into a residential site for one of the 4.2 plots. And the other plot is interestingly integrated as part of the white site area in above Newton Circle, Newton MRT. So you can see it's something that is up and coming in the area. People will be talking about it in the next 4 to 5 years time. If this were launched at a white site with a commercial space, with a shopping mall, this potentially can be an area that it will say in the long term run may be worth considering.
So then you also notice the education plot in 2019. I think this education plot is the previous ACI Junior. And after they moved to Tengah, this plot then will become a residential plot. So you see in 2025, it's actually under yellow as well as orange, which means that the yellow part is still under subject to detailed planning, and then the orange part has then become a residential plot.
Yeah, so looking at the size of this plot, likelihood and the 2.8 plot ratio, likelihood will be like private residential. Yeah, so if they will launch this kind of land and subsequently release lands as government land sale, this is something that is worth considering. And from there, you can actually find opportunities in the area.
Okay. So the next area we'll be looking at is Paterson, which is right on top of Orchard MRT. This whole area, they're approximately going to have about 1,000 private residential units, including integrated your retail, F&B, as well as even office spaces.
Yes, and a long time since Orchard area coming out with new land plots. Okay, the last one is with Upper House. They came out Orchard Boulevard with one stop down. But in Orchard Central, because the land is so prime, it's rarely the government release a land. And it has been some time where the individuals are open to consider Orchard as a place to stay. So it's a very strategic move, and potentially it could be something that they will launch in like a mid to long term rather than right now when people are still a little fearful for Orchard area.
So it's going to be a huge plot of land where there's going to be it's an extension of the Orchard Belt for this area.
Yes, and you can see over here 2014 master plan. Okay, a few changes. One is all the way at the bottom, at the yellow side over here, reserve site. What happened? It actually changed to a residential site, which subsequently launched as Orwell Hill. Okay, one of the government land sale that came out. Okay, it used to be a former MOE HQ. And after that, in 2019, you can see the other education plot, okay, which MOHQ also converted into
residential.
Yeah, so you can see in the government plans, they potentially feel that there are actually a lack of supply of residential in this area, and they hope to supply with more of this unit. Given the popularity of Rio Valley and Orchard area and Orwell area, that's something that we can stay tuned to. Okay, one more thing that they changed was actually the commercial on first story plots, the pink side. Okay, for 2019, over here it changed it into white side. Yeah, so white side itself, it does enhance the land value because it can be converted to many different things, not just residential. It can be a shopping mall. So that's something that you stay tuned to take a look for.
Yeah, so the next area we will look at is actually Mount Pleasant. There are going to be approximately 5,000 HDB flats coming up. Of course, in phases, with the first phase of 1,500 happening in October this year.
Yes.
Definitely with this kind of area, it's likely going to be under the prime housing where the MOP is actually for 10 years and there are some rulings on that one. So it's going to be quite a big plot. It's 33 hectare. So for this area, there's going to be a new MRT that will be serving the residents called the Mount Pleasant MRT. It's not out yet. They did mention that it'll only be ready once the housing developments are ready, because when government actually release a like MRT, right, they don't want it to be underutilized because waste of resources and money. Yeah.
Correct. So you see Mount Pleasant, they skip a station within the brown line because they don't want to open it until the infrastructure there is ready. And one fun fact about this area, this old police academy is well known for a lot of haunted places. Fun fact, I mean, you can see at the right beside there's a Kopi Suar cemetery. Very normal. I mean, used to Alam in Toa Payoh, in many different Bishan area, Ang Mo Kio used to be filled with cemetery. So nothing new. But fun fact, we have friends in the old police academy say there's a lot of horror story in there. But nonetheless, I think if they build a residential in this area and clear out the whole space, it will really be a brand new area to take note.
Yeah, so I think for the former old police academy, they do have heritage buildings that the government has plans to conserve, which is 4 of them, right? Meaning that these 4 buildings would likely be repurposed as like communal or like facilities for the residents, for upcoming residents who are going to be living in here also.
Yes. So look at this Mount Pleasant estate. You see 4 different usage. You have residential, you have health medical center, commercial, and also a park open space. So the first project launch you can see is right here. It's actually the pink area over here. It's the first housing BTO that will be going in October very soon. So you start balloting for it. It will be a prime housing because it's a very good location.
So if you look on the right side, that picture, right, you'll notice a Toa Payoh integrated development. It's not a residential, so we went to search, right? It's actually like a integrated sports building.
It used to be a stadium. I think they closed down, we've been renovating for some time. And will officially launch in 2030.
Okay. Right. So you also see that there's a residential plot that has also changed to blue color, which is the mix of residential and commercial.
And this will be, I believe, a new community center, a place where people can gather and have their amenities being served over there.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. The next one we will look at for the area is Bukit Timah Turf City. This is where your grandstand was, and a lot of people had a lot of memories there. And now they're actually doing a whole revamp of the area to include all the residential plots.
It used to be like a place for horse racing. And then the horse racing is shift to Kranji, with more less prime areas for all the horse betting kind of activities. And now it came to grandstand, which is all the leisure or car sale. We'll go there for buying cars and simply put, enjoying the stadium area for Turf City. And now they actually shift out officially in 2024. A lot of them have actually been ended the lease, and now they develop into a new residential area.
So I think if you take a look at the master plan, right, you'll see in the next slide that. So if you look at the master plan, you'll see in 2019, actually it's already zoned residential under subject to detailed planning. Meaning at that time, people knew that sooner or later there were going to be houses in this area. It's just that they extended the lease for the tenants over there. And that's why you'll see in Master Plan 2025, that's when government actually start to split up the entire big plot into different small plots already.
Yes. So when you zoom in to take a look at the plots, you notice it's very interesting. There are some that's pretty huge. Likelihood those are the HDB housing estate potentially. And there are some spots that are slightly smaller. And even the plot ratio can be even down to 1.2. Which is pretty low. Understandable because those are between 1.2, 1.6 are likely facing towards the landed side. So the landed side, there's a high restriction because they don't want over-towering buildings facing a landed, which is not good in terms of just aesthetic of place and also in terms of safety for a lot of the higher level individuals staying in this GCB enclave. So this is something that they take into account when it comes to building this plot.
So this whole area is actually a very, very big plot that will be able to have about 15 to 20,000 new homes, both mixed of public as well as private residential. And it's going to be the first public housing in Bukit Timah in nearly almost 40 years.
Okay, so one concern that people do have for this development actually is linked to the landed around this area. Very interesting because for landed enclave or ultra narrow space, they tend to want to have a private exclusive environment with just purely landed. So with this new biohousing coming out, I mean, there are some talks in the market that say that, hey, we actually devalue
HDB, then it's not as valuable.
Yeah, it's not as valuable anymore. I mean, this is something, of course, we cannot predict, but at the same time, it's a concern that is being raised. So if you're having a landed in this area, okay, the only saving grace is that they have a green park area that helps to buffer the landed to the residential side. So that may help, but nonetheless, it's something that you must keep in mind when it comes to buy a landed in this area.
So this whole area will also be served by MRT, which is Turf City MRT that is not up yet. It's going to be under the Cross Island Line, and it will be ready around the 2032 period. Master Plan also designate this entire estate to be like a 10-minute kind of neighborhood, meaning that the government plans to, like if you're a resident over there, it takes you about 10 minutes to walk to anywhere, whether it's the MRT or whether it's like your to get groceries and stuff.
Yeah, it's getting more common in nowadays township planning.
Yeah.
And one more thing to take note is that at the bottom of this Master Plan 2025, there was a recent land plot that was bidded by a developer, 8 to 9 of them, potentially launching about 1.5 years' time. This particular plot will actually interconnect all the top city area in the 7 years' time. That will create a more convenient space rather than just being served by 6 AV MRT below and the shophouses here.
Yeah. So I think with that, these are the main central areas that we'll be looking at. We will have the part 2 where we go a bit deeper into the other areas that is slightly further out from Singapore.
Yes, and from there, let's see where the opportunities are in those areas.
Yeah,
right.
So if you're in the market looking for your next investment property and you want to know how this changes in master plan is going to be affecting you, you can also scan the QR code and we'll be happy to share that with you.
And yes, through this master plan analysis, right, we are able to find certain opportunities in the market to see in the mid to long term where can we buy to actually leverage on this kind of news, because it's very subtle. Like government just announced, okay, we're going to build all these things and then things happen. You need to read between the lines and analyze the master plan through the different pictorial, the colors, and also the plot ratio to figure out what exactly are the upcoming changes in the area and leverage on these opportunities.
So with that, we've come to the end of this video. This is Grace.
This is Christian.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.